How it's going to sound. What's up, y'all? LTJ Reads is here. This is Throwing Light. And if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. We are episode 162. We are 38 episodes away from the 200th episode. And boy, are we going to have some drastic changes that I'm planning for you guys because we're really going to step it up for episode 200. With that, before we get started, remind you guys, please, I look, give me time to figure out YouTube and how to get y'all over there. But I need y'all to go to YouTube so you can find all the Throwing Light interviews, the Throwing Light panels that are going on. I am doing some creative work that's going to start rolling out second half of the year, working with the leather community, doing some personal acting and movie adventures myself, working on a book. All these things are coming, y'all. You just gotta have patience, but I just need y'all to scoot on over and get over to YouTube and start sharing this content so we can create that dialogue for 2026 that will be about throwing light and bringing the community together in these dark times. With that being said, I'm going to roll on over here to our guest. We've got Hunter Nelson. So it's going to be Mr. Colorado Leather 2025.
2024.
2024. That's right. I
I
keep
know it's
forgetting
been a
I was
while.
ahead of my class.
Yeah,
Hunter, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How
Of
are
course.
you?
Of course. I'm glad I got you on. So,
It's been quite some time in the making. I've
yeah.
delayed this, I don't know, 9 months. It's
No,
more.
I saw that you're going through some life changes, so I figured a lot of times, especially when I'm interested in interviewing people after IML. Obviously, it's like you've got a lot going on in that transition and things like that. But when I see, especially like I'm going this year, I'm gonna go and watch the stage and I'll write down names of people that I think might be interesting or want to come on the show and do something. So, anyways, let's move into what Hunter has been doing. Hunter was in IMO Class 47. As you know, I just had some of your siblings on for
I
a
know.
reunion.
That was exciting.
Dr. Ty and everybody. It was a good time. Now you got your little solo, but we're not even here to talk about IML, really. We're going to talk about what you've been doing, but you've got some new things going on in your life and some new responsibilities, and I'm interested to hear about some of those things. So let's talk about what's been up since IML.
Jeez. Okay. So, I mean, after IML, obviously nothing stops. We're all still active in the community. So it's, keeping all of that on. I was most recently president of the Rocky Mountain Leather Alliance. And with that, I was the director of our Back Alley Denver. So it's our street fair that we have in town. And then most recently, our executive director and producer backed out of stepped down from taking over our leather contests and titles. So I have stepped up into that role. And now I'm the executive director and producer of the Leather Colorado Foundation. I have 5 titles that I control under my belt or take care of. So that's exciting. It's been a lot of new responsibilities coming into my purview.
Executive
Yeah.
producer, when that title is thrown around, it's serious business. You're in
Right?
charge. What are the five titles that you're going to be producing?
Sure. So we have a Mister. We have our Mister Leather. We have Miss, which is So sorry. Let's back up. Mister and Ms. So these are the IML and IMSL track titles here in Colorado. We have a Colorado Boot Black, which has the options to do IMBB or IMSL BB. We have Colorado Rubber, which is the MIR track. And then finally, we have a fifth title, which is a Miss Leather. And that is a drag title, which has it's, a terminal title, but it is one of those like, here, how can we have fun? How can we do something new, exciting, and like get people involved across different communities that are still like, here's a leather title that is with a drag component to it.
Uh,
So,
well, I have a feeling that you like drag.
I mean, drag is great. I used to do drag back in the day.
I had a
Haven't done
feeling
it in
that
a
that was
while.
the connection. I was looking at
Yeah,
the little outfit behind you on your left side.
this one's a Gaga. So, like, for all my Gaga tours, this was an old one that I had made for that. A lot of my stuff just usually sits around on one of my mannequins of whatever I'm making, you know?
So,
So,
combining having a title for leather and drag, I think is actually a phenomenal idea because we do have a lot of drag people that are or and aware of the culture too. Case in
yeah.
point, I was watching, I'm not a huge fan of okay, how do I word this? I am not a fan of Drag Race, but I did watch the most recent episode, and they brought up the hanky code on there, and
Right.
that was really cool and talked about that and stuff. And one of the queens knew like what pink meant and all that type of stuff, like really wild colors. So you said is it the Rocky Mountain Leatherman?
So Rocky Mountain Leather Alliance is our big like
Leather
leather club that we
Alliance.
have in our town. And then Leather Colorado Foundation is a 501c3 that produces and manages contests while getting everyone out to or international, puts on or handles the parade, does a lot of the other things. They work hand in hand together. So I stepped down from president of one and just moved over to another, allow new leadership to come in on that side.
Being president of the Rocky Mountain Leather Alliance. Okay, so where does the alliance cover?
It's all so technically it is a we take care of all of Colorado, but that doesn't mean we don't handle or couldn't give support to any of the other mountain states. So Utah, Wyoming, Montana, there really isn't that big of a leather scene that goes on in those areas. Like you're not going to see a title out there, you know? Um, but that again, you're talking about two of those states having less than 1 million people in them altogether, right? Montana and Wyoming are very scant when it comes to people, being around. And a lot of them do come down. So we have, Cheyenne is right up north of us, their capital, all of that. Laramie, those are all college towns and whatnot. And they'll all come down for our pride and everything else. We are probably the largest city surrounded by almost nothing. And so a lot of these people who want to get involved or do anything or be a part of, a community will come and travel to see us. So
You're talking about in Denver, right?
in Denver, yeah.
So check this out. So do y'all ever go up to Montana or Wyoming and do events?
So yeah, one of the Wyoming's Pride Rendezvous. They do a big camp out every year, and a lot of the times it's a lot of Colorado people who go up and do that full weekend. I know our leather bar in town does a big sponsorship with them. They bring out a lot of the materials, they supply the bar, they do a lot of the work behind the scenes. So it is one of those where it is a partnership between them because it is important that LGBTQ plus people feel welcome all around. And it's a lot easier to get to Pride or a Pride, that's closer to you than having to travel all the way, regardless of where it is. So yeah, no, these are things where we will travel,
Yeah. What about in Montana too?
haven't really ventured up that far. I will tell
Do
you,
they have do
it's a
they have
long,
anything? Do what?
I mean, it's just a long drive to get there,
How long
you
does
know?
it take to get from Denver to what's the biggest city population wise in Montana? It's not Helena, is it?
No, it's Billings. And Billings would probably it's going to take over 8 hours to drive there.
Mm.
Yeah,
But is there even any kind of culture up there?
that's a good question. I haven't really gone exploring up there for
I
it.
haven't heard
Remember,
much.
yeah, it's really expensive to travel nowadays, just in general. Think about what, gas prices going up, fuel and
True.
everything else. So you've got to find kind of an excuse to be up there. And that's not to say that people shouldn't be building community and doing that, but it is one of those. I have found how hard it is living in Denver, trying to get people, even at the larger cities, to come out to us because we are so isolated still within the nation that you can only imagine, even from Denver, how hard it is to probably still get people to go out there.
So you
So
think there's nothing around Denver?
really isn't. I mean, we have Colorado Springs, but that's still a much smaller city. And it doesn't have, it's one of the most red counties in the entire nation, right? It has more mega churches per capita than anywhere else. Denver is the largest city, and the next closest thing, even close to that, is going to be Salt Lake. But like if traveling to Chicago, going to San Francisco, going to LA, even Phoenix, they're not short trips. It's very difficult to like, you can't just pick up, get in a car and get there in a day,
You know,
right?
that's so it's so crazy because I'm in Texas where we have like four of the largest cities in the
Sure.
country. And
You
so
live
our
in
driving,
Austin.
it's just different. Yeah, Houston's the blob, I call it, dude. That shit's gonna grow. That might be the whole country in 100 years. I don't know. Houston's massive. You can drive
Right.
anywhere in one direction. It's gonna take you a minute to get out of Houston. But I'm in Austin, which is not land area that big, but we do have, our population and it's overcrowded, and expensive. It's probably
Yeah.
cheaper to live in Houston, to be honest with you. But then you got Dallas and then Fort Worth right next to it. That's now entering in as well. I don't even know what the fuck is over in Fort Worth, and it's almost got 1 million people. And then
At the
we've got
stockyard.
San Antonio, and then and then Rio Grande Valley. That whole area is very well populated. So there are lots of people here, but there
Yeah,
are areas that are
right.
like the Panhandle and all of that going up towards Colorado.
But you still have, so like even with like Austin, right? It's only a 3.5 hour drive to get to Dallas. It's three
Less
and a
than
half
that,
hours.
2.5 hours, 2.5 hours.
Are you like
Yeah. Don't you
going
see in
100 on
Texas that, don't
I-35?
you see how we're always over in everybody's cities all the
Well,
time
I
now?
know. I
Yeah.
grew up in Austin.
Yeah.
So like I lived there when it was 100,000 people and it was still UT was a college town, right? So,
Yeah.
and I left when I was 24. So that's back in 2000, maybe I was 25. So I left in 2014. But
That's when I
yeah.
came. That's when
So
I got
we
here.
just missed each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came in
Um,
2014.
And that is one of the things. Like I went to school up in Denton, right north of Dallas. So it was just, that trip was very common for me. Um, and I mean, each one of those cities has something I feel like a little bit bigger than obviously something like Denver, even though Denver has probably a larger metroplex than Austin, uh, population wise and everything else. It is still, there are certain things that are smaller than it. We don't have necessarily a Fourth Street. We don't have Cedar Springs up in Dallas. We don't have, Montrose down in Houston or Main Street in San Antonio. But it is one of those things where even with what our population is and people coming in, it's hard to find that community to build it up. And so my thing that I've kind of been focusing on, I hear so many people go, "Oh, we need to build community. We need to build up all these things. We need to have all these events." And I'm like, "Well, you've got to do it, It's not my responsibility. It's not anyone else's. It's all of our responsibilities to do it." And that's kind of the thing where it's like, we want people to come visit Denver. We want them to see it. We want them to enjoy what we have, but it's like, we got to build it and you guys have to keep showing up and put your time in. You got to burn me out. I can't do it myself,
I
So,
mean, some people, and that's the thing, some of us think that we have to do everything by ourselves, and we absolutely do not. So, you are a part of the tribe of, I guess you're an all-star tribe because you've, only gained more momentum since IML, which is fantastic. So the thing is that you seem really busy. And has there been much downtime for you, or did you just go right into the next thing?
I just went basically right into the next thing. I gave up, but that's the thing. I've learned my boundaries now, and I've learned to say no. So right when I was offered to take over for the titles and this section of it, it was where I was still president, and I was like, no, I need to turn this down. I don't think that one person should have that much power, so to say, but also there needs to be this ability for, I need to step away so other people learn to step up. And that's the way that you're going to get new, fresh ideas. You're going to be able to see new things grow, people to improve upon, what I've built, what other people have built before me. And it's happening. Like, that's a good thing where it's like stepping away, learning to say no, learning to, tell people that it's like, it's your turn. It's your turn to be a leader here. It does not need to be me. And I see it happening, which is great. I got to step aside finally. I was a 2-year title holder, and I
Okay.
finally got to step aside 3 weeks ago. And I know that in my step aside, I was like, I can't do this. And you all, like, you don't need to be a title holder to, do any of that. A title is barely anything. I shouldn't be remembered for that. And I don't want to be, because it's a contest, right? Where I got up on stage for a day or two and said some things and looked pretty and smiled and said all these wonderful things about myself. But that shouldn't be what defines me, nor should it be what anyone necessarily thinks what they need to do. So, as someone who
Perspective, you
yeah,
got perspective, because I mean, then, and maybe people will watch this episode before we get to IML in a few days and receive that. People, look, I don't think when I was a title holder, I was new to the community. I had never been to IML before. I went to IML, and really, up until that point, I thought that was all there was and there was nothing after that, the way people talked about it.
sure.
Then when I got to it, went through it, definitely didn't perform or was ready or prepared the way I was, but I just moved on to the next thing like you
Yeah.
did and just kept keeping this going, trying my best to spread visibility and keep fresh ideas going and challenging things that need to progress. I'm definitely a lot stronger. But when I look back at IML now, I'm like, that was a cool experience. But like, God, the leather world is humongous.
Yeah.
And that is just being a title holder is such a fraction and that track and that mentality. I
Yeah.
think it took a little while to get rid of the title holder mentality of overextending yourself, not
Mm-hmm.
saying no, being butthurt if a lot of people don't show up to your events, or
Yeah.
just feeling like no one is paying attention to what you're doing. There was a lot of struggling with mental health when I had a title.
Sure.
And I don't have that. I look at it very much as like for me, it was like a boot camp, like of being around all these amazing people doing all this amazing work and being inspired by them. I tell people that IML is constructive criticism for me.
Sure. And it should be, it should just, in my opinion, like, it is a networking event.
Mhm.
That's how you should really look, a really fun, exciting networking event. Because I have made some amazing friends, found some incredible resources, like people I can lean on, everything else. But like what I did, I think I did an amazing job, and that's all that really matters. I showed what I wanted to on that stage. I made my point. But at this, like, the more important thing was I was the one going backstage, while we're changing, running around naked, just like screaming, "Hey guys, let's have a good time!" Like, just being silly and fun and making friends. And I mean, there were definitely people I saw that were taking probably a little too seriously. They really wanted to win. They really wanted to do their best, which is great. But I think some of them missed the point, which is, I don't know if they left going, did I make as many friends as I should have? Did I really take the time to enjoy what was going on around me? Right. And I, like, that's a shame because, with the new rules and everything else, you get to do it once. So you better make your time while you're sitting there enjoyable, or as enjoyable as possible,
I think
you
people
know?
think it's I don't know. People act like it's gonna lead you to being a millionaire or something. I don't know. It's
No,
just
if anything, you're going to go bankrupt. Like, that was the whole thing. I went in there going, I would love to get second. I don't want to win. Like, that is just, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of things pulling you away from your life, right? You watch these people travel all over, and I can do it on my own time and go do it. And I don't have necessarily responsibilities or, anything
you
else.
can also be more strategic with your traveling though, obviously. Like
Exactly.
for me, like showing up in certain places will help further my career as a leather person, but not
Yeah.
just going to everything. And I tell people too, like, I had the some of the IML class for this year on, and I'm like, who becomes like your main figure in your class may not be anyone that even made podium. Like it could,
Yeah.
how the things evolve is that um you could have very well had someone that got like 61st place all of a sudden 5 years later found their niche, got their mode, has a platform, and is outshining everybody else in the class. So, it is a moment and it's really how you build on that moment, correct?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, look at like a great example from your class is Spencer. Spencer has not slowed down, right? He is managing so many different events over at Powerhouse between Stank. He's got the Powerhouse competition. He's helped with SF Rubber and is helping them build up their weekend that they have.
He helped me put together the San Francisco panel too, which was amazing
Yeah.
a couple of months ago in March. So no,
So
he's phenomenal. And I forgot how amazing my siblings are for a
yeah,
moment because I'm thinking in my mind sometimes I forget that some of them have the same drive that I do. So where instead of me thinking I'm calling or reaching out to them to bother them with helping me put on an event, like this is what they want to do. This is what they do. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. I got to judge Powerhouse this past year, and sitting there watching Spencer do everything was a huge help. So when I needed help, I was able to reach out to him and go, "Hey, what's your opinion on this? Oh, this is, like what happened to me. This is after we had our little postmortem and like kind of explaining. It's nice to have, and that's the thing. That's what IML should be. Even though I didn't compete with him, I was able to like find that friendship through a lot of the IML people, which then becomes like a great friendship and a wonderful resource that I have at my fingertips, right? I can just go and text them. It's the same with so many of them, like Moshiel in your class, right? Eric in your class who sits on IML board of directors. There's so many wonderful people out there that I can just like get on a phone and go, hey, what's up? Hey, I need your help. So yeah.
Yes, you named very, very important brothers to me. And I know they're amazing. And I want to be just as amazing as they are.
You're just as amazing. You are. You can't tell yourself that you aren't. Everyone
I don't
brings skill to the table. That is the most important thing that's every single person. And I think like great leadership or anything is finding those strengths. And you have one, which is bringing people to the forefront and showing off what they have, right? I think that's like something that you need to
I'm an
brag.
empath. I am definitely, I don't, if I were, I would be a Jean Grey. I think I would be, because,
Okay.
well, I think I'm Professor X to be honest with you, but I could see like a Phoenix thing happening if it went
This
like,
all, yeah.
I'm like, dude, like I have bipolar disorder too. So like I'm hyper creative. And so like people are always like, you do a lot, you're doing it, and I'm like, I don't like to be discouraged one to not do what I can because one, life is short. The world is crazy right now. And I lost my life to addiction for about 8 years. And you
Yeah.
kind of feel like you're trying to make up time sometimes, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So like
Yeah.
so, sometimes that's in the back of my head, but like I literally sit right here and just generate ideas, just idea generation all day, every day. So being in Colorado,
Yeah.
I've been talking more about this because our leaders are in blue states and red states, and so everyone's dealing something different. But has the current political climate impacted any work that you're doing right now for the community?
I mean, here's the thing, like Colorado is a very interesting state in general. Uh, it's very blue in so many ways, but yet so many things still backwards. The only thing that I can say, at least one of the hardest things that happened, and it's just becoming more and more difficult, is that how our culture changed in Colorado after COVID and trying to figure out how we build it back up. Like the main thing that we had was we lost both of our bathhouses in town,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So we no longer have those kinds of outlets for queer or, gay men to go and do their bidding, so to say, which leads to a lot of like underground parties. How does cruising go? But how does culture in general? And I think there's been a massive switch into what becomes important to men in this area. So a lot of these parties will find that if it has a play space of what some sort, it will always outdo another event, no matter what. Like play because we are so starved for something along those lines. And what's been the most difficult is understanding whether or not the laws allow us to reopen one or if anyone will ever do it again. Um, and changing laws and changing culture or in those aspects can be extremely difficult in this state. It's just people get really set in their ways. Um, I,
They,
yeah,
oh, I was just saying they had a bathhouse here in Austin, but I think they shut pre-COVID. Are you saying that COVID has really impacted you more than what's going on right now?
yeah.
Crazy.
I
That's
feel like
interesting.
I mean here's the thing. Like there's obviously a lot of fear and a lot of whatnot, and also there's probably this is from my viewpoint, right, which comes from a state of privilege and also a state of like rose tinted glasses. So I'm seeing things in such a different aspect or light than a lot of other people. In general, sure, I think there's been this fear of what's going on in the nation, but overall, like there's so many other things that we've also had to worry about. Um, Colorado is running into a deficit. I work for the state government. My focus has been on how do I keep access to healthcare for a lot of Coloradans. Um, I'm right now working on based off of federal laws and how we get money to Medicaid for our state and how we fund our Medicaid program. I'm working within my department to find. I mean, I'm projecting a massive loss, billions of dollars lost in 5 to 6 years of what we can actually fund our programs in. So my focus has been in a completely different area of where in politics what's going on because it's in that aspect of it, not so much my personal life, if that makes any sense, you
No,
know?
no, no. And I mean, that's a, I don't know if the word great, but like that's a field and having that knowledge and that perspective and seeing what's going on like that is really great to have because a lot of people don't even understand that or the difficulty of that because they've changed some things here in Texas too in terms of funding and stuff like that. Me as someone that's HIV positive, I'm always a little bit, on edge about, how they're going to impact that.
Right.
Because yeah, so it's dark times. You don't know what these people are going to do or what they don't deem as important, and they don't think human life's important. We can agree with that. Like they don't. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
every single person is different in their eyes. Yes. No, not all men are created equal under them. I would agree with that. Yeah. Um, but here's the thing. This is obviously impacting a lot of people, and we're seeing this in so many ways. In not, I would say my community has been fairly either I'm oblivious to it or I'm or it's not, but we're seeing it around the nation obviously with how things are affecting people of color, trans people, everything else, and even within the leather community. I mean, just log into Facebook right now and you'll see about 5 different cities where it looks like they're all burning to the ground because of you know how people are reacting. And I don't think that I think people are getting more brave and more with their off color opinions, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
being stupid is in style. If you want to say
Yeah.
off-colored, some of the things that are said are just really dumb and really, really almost reckless. But like coming from Louisiana and what's going over there, and just being an educator in Louisiana, and just there is this like arrogance to just be like say these off the, and it just I don't get it. It's like we're in an alternate universe where things like it's not an opposite that we're dealing with. It's a cult of personality and it's twisted things and made it seem that being smart or empathetic and all these things are now like woke, right? With the
Yeah.
question mark, with the quotations around it. And I'm just like, I'd rather be woke than dumb. Like you're going around and you're chanting on people being harmed, policies being destroyed. Like make it make sense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But you know what
Oh,
it comes down to is not knowing American history.
right. Well, I mean, just being a decent human being. I
That
like
part, yeah.
I don't necessarily want to harp on this, but watching what's going on in Palm Springs right now with obviously the situation that happened with Honey, you're seeing a lot of things. I'm watching people say things that I never thought I would hear in my lifetime, at least not written down. You know what I mean? And this is where people are feeling that comfortable and that brazen that they can just, spout just hate. And it's within our own leather community. And that's where
Oh,
it
of
becomes
course. Look,
so
it's
scary.
everywhere. I've been
Yes.
trying to tell everybody the energy is division among every community. And I try to tell
Mhm.
everybody too, we can't, it's really hard. You can't just like blanketly say like a whole entire group of people are evil or bad because we wouldn't want that to happen to us at leather community. But we do have to acknowledge that not everybody that's in our community has good intentions. Like
Correct.
that's just human nature across the board. Some of us are in here locked in to do great things, and some of us are here to stir up trouble or cause confusion or somehow, get attention, honestly, what it comes down to, right?
Well,
You see it on Facebook all the time.
yeah, there are a lot of distractions too. And I feel like that's the other thing. There are other people who obviously have good intentions, I think, but still scream into the void of social media and everything else, or try to make or turn it and make it about them. And I'm like, you're missing the point. Like there are ways to call out injustices, and there are ways that you're not adding to the actual conversation, nor are you assisting or making anything better.
Hunter,
You're
they
just,
will post 50 things about, but like it takes one post to address something. Let me just
I
say.
know, I
But
know.
we'll get 50 of them, and then people not even in the same geographical location are directly, and it's just, I wish it would stop. I don't know how to stop, make it stop, but I really want to lead that movement. Like,
Look, there's some obviously horrible retorts to what it is, but there's a lot of people in here that I'm like, you're not making the situation any better because you're just, fanning the flames and creating more division. I think that there are ways to make solutions. And I understand that you're allowed to be upset and angry about bad things happening, always. But then there are also those times where it's like, we also need to shut up and listen and fix it. And it's a lot easier to do that than, taking your 10 minutes to write up a post that, no one's going to read. And you're just filling my news feed with this,
some people do, but for some people, Facebook is like their news is what's going on. I am just trying to be in this mode of, you know, social media behavior has been like at the top of the majority of my conversations recently and how people are behaving on that. And it's just kind of like, well, we got to do something. And it's just like the same thing happens. Like someone and I had leather coach Guy on here, and we talked about community grenades. When someone just does something, on social media and it causes a rift and they just kind of cause this problem that goes on. And in the leather community, it's like we will drag something out for, oh,
years, months,
Jesus,
years. Yeah.
months for sure. The same situation. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. So I'm hoping, I'm going to IML this Friday and I'm doing a panel. I'm doing a throwing light panel there. And I want to really talk about what reinvention is because what's happening to me and I've kind of posted something about kind of my mental health journey with indoor but like the universe or whatever is physically saying you have to go through this situation. If you do not go through this situation, you do not go past go. You do not collect $200. Like, so that's where I'm at. So I think it's obviously going to impact how I see myself, but how great of a leatherman that I can be. And I want to talk more openly and honestly about things. And to some degree, I'm still holding back. So I'm hoping this Saturday that I kind of just lay out my intellect more clearly for people and how much I'm begging for us to try new things that bring us together in terms of just, double downing and saying we can't because right now inclusion seems performative in so many places and optics wise, but when you go down in there and you go into the businesses, you go into the bars, we can't find that inclusion. So I'm hoping that we can work on that as a community. Hunter, we're towards the end of the interview. I want to give you a question here that I give everybody, and that is there any aspect of our community that you feel we are not shedding enough light on? Now, I get trans community a lot, and obviously that's a
I
one.
mean, yeah.
Um, but I am curious, what do you think? Because you have such a diverse perspective, and you also have um you're aware of other communities as you do things. So where do you see the biggest struggle?
Uh, you know, it's more, I guess it's going to be those people that are sitting on the corner. We all need to be better about the people in the periphery who are standing there waiting for someone to hop in and invite them in, right? When obviously through my time as in leadership in general, I have this discussion a lot, especially with trans people, with women, with anyone. I mean, just younger people. A lot of young people who are right there, who might even come to the event, hear about the event, never own a piece of leather, nothing like that, but they want to be a part of it, and it's all of us. They're there. There's so many of them sitting on the edge, or sitting on the bench waiting for them to be like, pull me in, coach, like, let me go. When I had my contest 2 weeks ago, right, there was a boy that I've known for a while. Never seen him in a pair of like anything leather related. I've seen him at an underwear night, something like that, but I've never seen him actually at any of the leather events or anything even leather adjacent. But he was sitting there and he's like, oh yeah, I've always kind of been interested. And it's like, all right, come here. They're all waiting. There are so many people. So it's one of those where even with social media, if you see those people constantly liking your photos, your leather photos, those things, but you've never seen them at an event and they live in your town, that might be your chance to reach out and go, hey, come on in. There are so many of them that just want the invite or want to figure it out, but are too afraid or too nervous to ask. That's where they, go look at you. We're all worried about how many likes we get. You want to talk about how much, we're all like, how much we love to think about ourselves. We'll go look at that and see what people are actually doing. Use that data that's making you get your dopamine hit and do it for someone else and turn it around. That's what should happen. That's the light that you need to
All
shed.
right. I'm here for it. I'm here for that kind of light. Yeah, and we do need to do that. And I think um I don't know if it's even with title holders, but yeah, I would hope that title holders know they have to reach out. Like it's not people's job to come up to them and be like, "Oh, you have a title." Like you are a community representative. So
Right.
you
But
need to
you should
be.
also be looking for the clues, right? We always talk about looking for clues in all these social aspects. I mean, we talk a lot about depression and looking for those social cues in your friends. We talk about like anything, like picking up on just hints. These are people dropping hints on social media. These are people dropping hints on different areas. Those are the things where like anyone could be looking for that. And it doesn't take a title to do that. Anyone in the leather community, anyone in the pup community, anyone in rubber, if they're seeing it and they're liking it, they think it's sexy and they want to probably be involved. But they don't know how to ask without being like, how's that going to make me feel? Like, how's that
You're
going to
right.
look?
No,
So,
you're right. You're right. All right, Hunter. Well, that brings us towards the end. There's one thing you have to do before we end the interview. I'm going to count to three, and then you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. You ready?
got it.
All right. One, two, three.
You're not throwing light. You're not acting right.
There we go.
Woo,
Thank you so much.
of course.
Thank you so much, Hunter. All right, y'all. Me and Hunter are going to IML. You will not see a new Throwing Light episode until June. So you guys sit tight out there, watch some old ones. You'll see Hunter's episode replaying, clips playing throughout the month. With that being said, Happy IML to everybody. You'll see me soon, probably after 6 p.m. every day. Bye, y'all. All right, let's see.